Hello and welcome to The Big Fight, a show that is not 24 years old but young at 24. Believe it or not, we are 24 years old. This is the oldest running debate show on Indian news television. I'm Sanket Upadhyay. Something truly historic and remarkable has happened last week. The passage of the Women's Reservation Bill. Now, while that has happened, there are also certain reservations about this reservation bill. What are they? Number one, the riders. That it will only come into effect and force when there is a census and a delimitation exercise which is complete, which means effectively and practically after 2027. And if you think Lok Sabha, then 2029 onwards. Maybe. We do not know. Many ifs and buts. But beyond that, in the world of narratives, there is also a conversation around justice for women from the OBC community. You see, while an attempt was being made, perhaps from the treasury benches, to raise an issue as crucial as this, which has seen many members in the opposition who have come together as a bloc right now, they were opposed to Women's Reservation Bill due to certain factors, which is why it never saw the light of the day in 2010 when UPA 2 brought it in Parliament. The opposition responded by mentioning OBC quota for OBC women in women's reservation. And that became some sort of a political and social glue for all these parties. The big question on the big fight tonight is exactly this. Who is in better control of the OBC narrative? I would like to introduce our guest right here in the studio. Shazia Ilmi, BJP spokesperson, thank you very much for joining us. Shama Mohammed, national spokesperson of the Congress Party, thank you very much for joining us. Aditi Fadnis is the political editor of the Business Standard. Thank you very much, ma'am, for joining us. Jagmati Sangwan is a social activist. Thank you so much for joining us in the studios. Sumitra V. Goenka, political analyst, women's rights activist and a member of Center for Knowledge Sovereignty. Thank you very much, Ms. Goenka, for joining us. And Aditi Anant Narayan, senior journalist, thank you very much for joining us. If someone who needs reservation in this debate, it perhaps should be the men, because we're clearly in minority. But
you need it, huh?
I need it? Yes. No, it's okay. This is totally your day.
They are in command.
Let's begin the big fight. With what we call is the first punch, where each of you get 1 minute of time for your opening comments. Let me just reiterate what the subject is. Who is in better control of the OBC narrative? Because this is a very important byproduct of this entire debate around Women's Reservation Bill. Ms. Shazia Ilmi, your time starts now.
So I won't start with the byproduct. I will start with the product.
Sure.
And I would want to congratulate each one of you on this historic legislation. I think finally women made the cut, and the will of a Prime Minister and our party prevailed, despite all the shenanigans, all the mechanism used to divert the bill, make it about something else, as we have witnessed for the last 3 decades. I've been following it. The journey of the bill coincides with my career, with my political journey and professional journey. So that's how I started my career, and I could not imagine that we would be sitting here enjoying and celebrating the legislation, the passage of the bill, Women's Reservation Bill. So for me, it's a big day. I want to congratulate everyone out there, all the girls, women and their families watching this. This time is long overdue, but finally it's here.
Okay. Ms. Goenka.
So I agree with Shazia ji. I want to congratulate everyone to begin with. But I think India is moving into becoming a superpower, economic superpower. But the representation of women in politics in the parliament is only around 14%, whereas the global average is 26.5%. So this bill will definitely bring us into that league. And talking about the timing also, I just want to highlight that first before I come to the OBC point. I think the timing of this bill has been really great. It's a master stroke, because at this time no opposition can oppose the bill. Looking at the elections coming in, and everyone has to agree. And OBC thing is just a diversionary quota, because because I think that 49% of BJP votes are OBC votes, and they want to break this and they want to target this category so that, in the general elections they have something in hand. That is my opening comment.
Ms. Shama Mohammed.
For me, I'm going to start with the Women's Reservation Bill. It's like a lollipop you give to a child. When the child is crying, the lollipop is given, and then the child becomes happy, and then after the lollipop is over, he's in despair. And that's exactly what happened. Because we were told a special session was called, so we thought the Women's Reservation Bill would be passed and immediately will come in effect in 2024. But it looks like it is never going to see the daylight, as there are two caveats. One is the census and the other thing is delimitation. Census should have been done in 2021, which they did not do. And delimitation was never a clause when we passed the bill in the Rajya Sabha in 2010. So why now? And the other thing is, Mr. Modi had 9.5 years. Why did he not pass it in 2015, in 2016? We would not have other issues. We wanted the bill to be passed immediately. Enacted immediately, and that we did not get. And when it comes to OBCs, I believe that if they did not have any problem, why not do the caste census? Why is the BJP shying away from doing a caste census? Because they do not want to give this sort of reservation anymore, and they do not believe in OBCs. They want to sideline them. As my leader Rahul Gandhi said, out of the 90 secretaries, there are only 3 OBCs. So this is a problem in our country.
Okay. Ms. Aditi Anant Narayan.
So while all political parties definitely have been lauding that the Women's Reservation Bill has been cleared, but I just want to highlight on the OBC factor, Sanket, that you were mentioning. Seeing BJP as a party which was in the opposition and then being in power for 2 terms now, the BJP has mastered what I can term as social engineering and women welfareism. Now, you may question the timing, you may question the intent, but BJP has learned this. A party which was earlier seen as a party which was only catering to the forward classes, to the Brahmins, to the Banyas, the BJP was smart enough to make that switch and go towards the OBC. Now, whether they are dominant OBCs or non-dominant OBCs, they are subcastes or in general, and if you see the numbers also, you have seen a constant rise in how the OBCs have voted for the BJP and how women have voted for the BJP. States, you see Jayalalitha had mastered this, women, Nitish Kumar had mastered this, getting in the prohibition law, and so on and so forth. A lot of states do that. Priyanka Gandhi did try that in Uttar Pradesh as well. So while one may question the intent, one may question the timing, but for the BJP, they really know how to put social engineering and women welfareism forward. And then, of course, politics you can't take aside from whatever happens in the parliament. There is an intent, there is a motive behind it. But yes, it was a trap. Not a single opposition party could oppose this. Yesterday in the Rajya Sabha, 0 no's. It's a very, very rare sight.
Ms.
Sanket, when we came to know that 33% reservation bill is being taken up in the parliament, we were happy. But when it came with the rider, the census and delimitation, it's really like passing this bill with oh Nari Shakti Vandan, lekin 27 saal wait kiya, abhi 6 saal aur wait karo. It's just that if it would have been taken like it was being implemented in the 24 parliament elections and assembly elections, then it would have been something which should have been appreciated. After 6 years, who knows what? So it's just a eyewash, and the context itself, when it has been brought up, it indicates strongly about the intent of the government. The Manipur violence against women, the wrestlers who were beaten up on the Jantar Mantar, like Ghasitna bolte Haryana mein to usko. And then this unemployment, then this price rise. All of these were haunting this government, and now they want to cover up their failures in the name of 33% reservation. Otherwise, in material sense, it is not going to make some difference at all.
Ms. Fadnis.
So, you know, the 33% reservation has happened, it's been passed, but I feel that there are just 3 letters which describe who has the upper hand, the whip hand. and that is MEN, men. So they are the ones who have decided that this matter will come later. When it will come, they have already announced in Parliament that it will happen after 2029. Women don't have too much of a say in all that. It's mainly men who are deciding from when till when, for how long women are going to have their right to be represented to the extent of 33%. BJP states have got the chance to do this in their state assemblies and in other bodies. Many BJP states have not done it, nor has the Congress ruled states or opposition ruled states done it. So frankly, the debate on the OBC reservation or in 33% for women actually mirrors what is the reality in our country, that A, men continue to hold the whip hand in matters of legislation and decision making. B, society, those who have the reins of power in society continue to have the reins of power in decision making in the legislature.
Okay. Interesting point that you have made, and let's dedicate at least the first half of this discussion to the point on women's reservation bill, and particularly taking off from where Ms. Fadnis has left. Shazia Elmi, do you feel that this, as has been the criticism, is a conditions apply bill for empowering women?
Well,
I mean, for instance, what was the need for having these two clauses that once this happens and once that happens, then women will be empowered? I mean, I have another question. Why only 33%? Adi abadi.
So this is exactly what was asked in the Parliament, and this is exactly what both Amit Shah ji and our Prime Minister said, that you don't want to account for all the years you have left the bill pending, and this was a plan again to use the OBC card to make sure that the bill doesn't get passed. But better sense prevailed, I think, and they had no choice but to do that. 2021, let me inform my viewers here, along with some panelists who probably don't know, was the epidemic year, was the year of COVID, and the Registrar General of India actually wrote and said it's not possible to do because all of us were tucked up in our beds, hoping the virus will not take us away from this planet Earth, which is why it was postponed to 24. Now, only after the census is done can you decide the delimitation as to what the boundaries will be. There is an affidavit of the BJP, of the centre in the Supreme Court saying that we want to increase the seats because of how many, look at the numbers, Mahesh Jethmalani spoke about that in the Parliament, as to how the constituencies were envisaged on basis of numbers and what those numbers are today. So 75 years down the line, there has to be a change. There's a change in population. There has to be change in representation. MP per number of constituents. So because of which delimitation has to follow census.
But Ms. Ilmi, why are these two prerequisites for giving justice to women?
It has not
because
because
it has to be done in a proper concrete way only when you know how many people are there and what the constituencies would be like. Why have it now and then have the delimitation later? How will you have the system in place? How will you decide it then? And this election is happening. I'm sure the next general election.
I just want to ask you, how does that stop from the process beginning right now?
Well,
say for instance, if this bill were to say that from this very moment, let's go for women's reservation, 33% reservation from this very moment. And then once the census is done or delimitation is done.
My question to you, Sanket, is what stops any of the parties from giving 33% seats or to get to the candidates? What stops them?
By the way,
I mean, let's see.
By the way, the track record of only two regional parties is very good on this front. One is the TMC, the other is the BJD. National parties don't have, something
and
great.
Neither is BSP or Congress.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Neither it's BJP.
That's exactly what I said. All parties. But two. Only two regional parties have realized that you can do this as well. But Ms. Goenka, what would you have to say about the point that Ms. Fadnis made?
Right. So I completely agree with her that today this is the scenario, and that is why this reservation bill is there, to ensure equity. Unless you give equity, you cannot have equality. And if you look at the world ratio, like I said, USA has around 34% people in women in their parliaments, what you can say. In Europe, you have 32%, but India is very low. And in legislative assemblies, especially if you look at Northeast, there are dismal number of female.
Yeah, it hovers around 9 to 13%.
No, it's even less than that in Northeast. So this this is a huge disparity, and this needs to be changed. If you don't have enough women, enough gender parity, there is no diversity, inclusion, then things will never change. You again have to, continue facing this, because the women, especially who come into politics, are either from political backgrounds, or they are dynast, most of them, or, they are privileged to be there. So it is very difficult for other women to actually participate.
Which is exactly why the point. This change was to have come yesterday. It is coming now. It's a step in the right direction, but there is still a wait of at least another 5 years, if not more.
From what I understand, it is a constitutional issue which needs attention. If other parties, all political parties have any solution, they can sit together and figure out. I would suggest that. But as far as I have heard from the parliament, nobody has a suggestion. Everybody was only complaining. And BJP was giving a reason that, this is as per Article 82, this is the thing. So I believe if all the regional parties and political parties can come together, sit together, because if everybody wants women to come into politics and
I
parliament,
think the main point,
they can sit and decide what they want to do.
No, 20 seconds.
Yeah.
So instead of making this about it's a jhunjhana, it's a lollipop, though they've all agreed on it in the parliament, but outside they're saying it's a lollipop and it's some whatever, puppet or whatever. Now my question is, instead of doing all of that now, why can't they put pressure? Why can't they write a letter to the Registrar General of India asking for an earlier census? Why can't they work on the delimitation commission? Why can't they talk to them and say, let's hurry it up? We all are in a hurry, right? But this is the constitutional mandate. It has to happen after that. Then do it before that. That's my thing. I want to call out the bluff. So, BJP's again gotten away, done it, cracked it, and shown themselves to be the messiah, the savior of the poor and the women. Now they feel very awful about it. They feel awful. So they're saying, oh, we could not do anything. This time also we tried, but we still, failed. BJP is getting the credit. So now let's add the OBC angle, delimitation angle. Work on it. Hurry up on that instead of raising idiotic points which that there cannot be reservations on the basis of religion. It's not possible in our constitution.
Okay. Let's
so
get
why talk
from the
about
Congress
it?
Party.
I want to speak.
Why was Samajwadi Party talking about?
Ms. Shama.
She has to stop interrupting. Now the thing which she put in, it's very clear from that, is that it is about the men. It's very true, because otherwise from the 543 seats, you can give it to women in the Lok Sabha. Why not? When you're doing this sort of delimitation, basically it's not reservation, it's the extra seats which come after it, isn't it? So you're giving those, so this is not any sort of reservation, you're just giving those extra seats. Now she said something very ridiculous, that why not we ask for the caste? I say, you're in the government, it is your duty to do it. The delimitation as well as census, your duty to do it. It's not us to tell them. They should not, let me finish.
They should not,
they should, so you should not
need to improve a little bit.
You should not, every time the onus is put, whenever they're asked a question, otherwise they tell you file a case in Supreme Court. Now they say you asked for it. So then don't sit there, you resign from the government of India, go sleep somewhere, we'll take over, we can do it better. Now, the question here is, when we came out in 1989 with the 33% reservation in Panchayati Raj, we, who opposed it? Advani, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, Jethmalani ji, they all opposed it, all right? But we had the grit and will, we passed it in 1993, immediately it came into effect. And because of that, some states also have 50%, like mine. In Kerala, it's 50. So if it's 1 year a woman, the next year it's a man. Then again, the woman gets the opportunity. So it's fantastic. So what we are saying today is, when we say something, we do it. Here, she has not been able to explain to you why this delimitation is added. And she mentioned census COVID. COVID was 2021. You had 22. You could have done it 23 early. No, you did not. And the word which JP Nadda and Sita Raman has been using is consensus. I mean, this is a joke. Consensus. We were waiting for consensus. Was there consensus when they abolished Article 370? No. Was there consensus when they got the GST at midnight? No. When they passed the farm laws, was there consensus? No. So when they want to do certain things, they do it. They do not want to get women's reservation immediately. They just want to show this. It comes headlines, Modi ne kiya hai. So they have nothing else for 24 since there is a strong India bloc. So the only thing is just to give another jumla, which they have done many times before, and it comes out in newspapers ki haan 33% isko arakshan diya hai. But there is nothing other than a jumla. So my question today is, when you were able to do, you never spoke about consensus ever in your life, in all these 9.5 years, why speak about it now? Okay. Go ahead. You know, your Modi hai to mumkin hai. This is what they keep telling the whole world. Do it and show it to us. And that's what my leader Rahul Gandhi ji said. Even K.C. Venugopal ji spoke on this. Sonia ji spoke on it. They said immediately. And the OBC was a reservation. That is right. But we did not say we will not go ahead with the bill. We want it passed. Okay. So it was a suggestion, we put it in.
I'm going to come to the OBC point, but let me quickly ask the two journalists right here. And incidentally, both of them are Aditi's. Ma'am, I'll just come to you. The point that I want to ask, I'll come to you. The point that I want to make and ask is that this point which is being made about women's reservation, it has happened now, it could have happened now, versus happening a little later. And of course, the BJP is now planning to take this in election campaigns. You know, the Prime Minister is going to hit campaign mode. We are expecting the BJP to take this message down. Will it electorally work in terms of narrative building? You see, Shama Mohammad's point is, why not now? And Shazia Ilmi says, it has happened. Something historic has happened. No, one more.
Well, I mean, it depends on how well you are able to sell it. And we've heard Prime Minister Modi, he's a very, very persuasive communicator.
But what if this were to be an organic traction? Can there be organic traction on something like this?
It's hard to say at this point. We have to see how it rolls out. And I'm sure the women will ask the very questions that we are all asking. Which is, why not yesterday, why not today, why not tomorrow? And they will put that question to everyone, because isme Behti Ganga mein sabne haath dhoya hai. Everyone has a role to play here. But I think the most important thing is that we have a power structure in our society. There are men who are deeply concerned, who, I mean, ostensibly they are supporting this bill, but they are deeply concerned about whether it is their seat tomorrow which they will stand to lose to a woman if once a reservation comes.
And that cuts across party lines.
Precisely. And so that is why this long period to give people the chance to get used to the idea that, they may be phased out by a woman who will come there and, take their seat, basically. So
I think that's a very interesting way to look at it.
That's a fear.
This is 5 years being given, Aditi, to men to basically condition themselves. It's like BS4 norms are coming, or BS6 norms are coming, so BS4 cars will slowly be phased out.
Sangeet, just a very personal opinion. I may be sounding way too progressive, entitled probably when I say this, but to say that, only when there is a condition that 33% seats have to be reserved for women, only then political parties will, come up with women candidates. That's so unfortunate to start with. In 2023, you have to force it. You literally have to hold a gun to political parties' heads to decide that yes, itni seats to hame auraton ke liye chhodni hi chhodni hai. So let's not even talk about women empowerment and inclusiveness. And this is for all political parties. Parties which had introduced the bill in 1996 to parties who got it in 2010 to parties which are getting in 2023. I think it's very, very regressive because you're showing that women in India are so downtrodden, are so left behind that it requires a reservation for them to come to the mainstream, whether even if it is in politics. It's like in newsrooms, you will have to have a condition that 40% women should be there in your newsrooms. Only then you'll have women anchors, women reporters, women producers, etc., etc. So for me personally, I think it's very, very unfortunate that in 2023, we call ourselves as a country which is moving towards, which is the fastest developing country, and we're discussing all of this. But I do agree with what ma'am said about how many men will be willing to give up their seats if tomorrow those seats are turned as reserved seats. And as far as delimitation and census is concerned, there is an understanding probably in every political party understands, and I categorically remember this conversation with a political leader who said, हमारे पास तो महिला नेता है ही नहीं, कहाँ से ढूंढ कर लाएं? There was never an attempt to build, nurture women political leaders within
like
political parties.
Of women leaders.
You could have built that. You could have built that. You could have built that community of very strong, very good political leaders, women political leaders. But that also failed. No political party did that. You can announce SOPs. You can say कि महिलाएं अब से free में बस में जाएंगी on Women's Day, on Mother's Day. You can say every time we win, you'll have 2,000 rupees in your bank accounts. You can say free gas cylinder. You can say everything. But the fact is, as a political party, you couldn't nurture in all these years, all political parties here, you couldn't nurture women politicians, and it has to be a reservation, which will again wait for a delimitation, a census, and only then you will even start looking for women politicians.
That's a very nice, very
I
nice
think
point.
it's a little hard to digest for someone like me, and I think I'm a little progressive in my mindset, but I wish we wouldn't be in a situation where we are discussing all of this, and now literally you're forcing political parties के अब आप ढूंढो महिला नेता अब आप ढूंढो अब आप build करो nurture करो.
Do you think Ms. Jagwati Sangwan, that is going to be the big challenge, and in a way it could be a blessing in disguise? I know Shama Mohammed will not agree. In 5 years, for political parties to, number one, wrap their hands around the idea that they will have to have strong women leaders representing various constituencies. Otherwise, you will have, unfortunately, what happened in the panchayati system. You had Pradhan Pati, right? You had women who were there, but the controls continued to be with the men, right? So do you feel that this could be a sort of a blessing in disguise for these political parties to actually nurture
Sanket,
women leaders?
You see, day before also, I was in a training the sarpanchis of villages, and I was really surprised to see the capabilities these women have. But the fact of the matter is, आदमियों को जो चस्का लगा हुआ चौधर करने का, वो धुले धुलाए कपड़े मिलेंगे, आपको बना बनाया खाना मिलेगा, और वो जाके फिर वहाँ पे बतंगड़बाजी जो होगी, and the performance is very well in front of us, what they have performed, and I think there are a pretty number of women, those who are very much capable, those who have capacity to perform if they are given the chance. The chance is not being given to them. The fact of the matter is this: they will perform definitely. What are the expectations of the voters from them? And there are some surveys which have come out that the corruption which has become a landmark of in our country. Corruption has been checked over there where women are leading. So there are so many things which will be changing with the coming of women in leadership position. And what our BJP friend is trying to say, that we could not conduct the census due to Corona. We are leading the G20, and G20 all country members, they have conducted census, and the Corona was all over.
I'll give you a right to reply. Yeah.
and the corona was all over. And it is the failure of the government why they did not conduct the census. And now they are punishing for that the women of this country. They are depriving these women who were aspiring to contest the elections in 24.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
and
Okay.
they
So a
are
quick
being
right to reply on the point
deprived.
It will be a detailed
G-
reply.
G-
So first of
G20
all, let
and
me
they-
tell you, let me inform my friend here that 21 was when there's a 82nd article in the Constitution which mandates there will be a caste census. Then there was a 42nd
census, not caste census.
It's a census.
census.
Caste census is what the opposition wants.
I said it by mistake.
you're not
I correct
agreeing to
myself.
a caste
So I
census.
repeat. So I repeat, there would be a census, and because of COVID, 21 Registrar General of India conducts it. BJP has nothing to do with it. They're separate commissions. So BJP. So there is a Registrar
So the
General.
government of India should resign.
Registrar
They're
General
not
of India
involved.
wrote this.
Okay, now new news we are
No,
getting.
one by
Government
one.
of India is not
One by
involved
Shama,
in census.
Shama Mohammed, one by one.
The way
I'll
this
come to you.
government is
It's definitely
being
better
run.
than the fake news we got that Advani ji and Mahesh Jitwalani of post Panchayati Raj, because that was fake news. But
That's
this
not
is a
fake
fact.
news. That's
So
there
this-
in your Rajya Sabha.
So
No, I'm
this is-
sorry. She's telling
this is-
what my organizational secretary said inside Parliament is
Shama,
fake
calm
news.
down. Your loan
I'm
comprehension,
sorry,
you know that.
it is wrong.
let's-
You
let
are
me-
a
Okay,
fake.
one moment.
So
No,
Registrar General of India wrote.
You are unable to
wrote that in
clarify
2021
one by one,
because there was COVID, and we all
No,
know
she
there
can't
was
say it's
COVID.
fake
and
I'll
news,
come
it
to
was
you.
postponed.
You can reply. Yeah.
So it was postponed. It was to be in 21. The Registrar General of India conducts. There's a whole body which does it. There's also a delimitation commission which is headed by a retired judge of the Supreme Court. That's how it's done. And 82nd article of Constitution mandates that. It's only after the census and the limitation. Okay, now I want to ask you a question. You want it to start straight away. We all want it actually. You know, we are disgusted
Waited
that
long
it's not
enough.
happened
Yeah.
for so long for something or the other, and now it's happening. How do you reserve the women's constituencies? What would be the mechanism?
Mechanisms
What
are
would the
already
mechanism?
there.
So exactly. So what would the mechanism be? There has to be transparency also in the mechanism. In the way the rotation is done of the seats, 1/3 seats. I've read the earlier clause, and in that one also with BJP, with Congress got passed, which Sonia Gandhi kept tom-tomming. There was no provision of OBCs there. The one which got passed in the Rajya Sabha in 2010.
Let me quickly go to Shama Mohammed on these 2 points. First of all, whatever you wanted to say in your right to reply, and the point that even in your version of the 2010 Women's Reservation Bill, there was no OBC quota for women.
So I'm just telling you that. No, she mentioned that there is this commission. It's not the government. You have to go through commissions. They want to do the right way, according to her. So when Jammu and Kashmir, a state was made into 2 union territories, who did they ask? Just let me know. I want to know. They want to follow the constitution, they say. Who did they ask? Did
does
they have
Congress
anything?
want Article 370 not to be abrogated?
I
Let's
told
get
you
another
what
headline.
One by, please,
So let's get another headline here.
I
Shall
said,
we go one by one,
when a
please,
state
please?
is divided into 2 union territories. So if you're going to put words into my mouth, I will not
I think
respond.
the
That
point
has nothing to do with Article 370.
The point,
a
please,
state
yeah.
was divided into 2 union territories. So if you don't know politics, you should shut your mouth and stay at home. That was not
you know
asked.
your
There was no
politics very well,
referendum
Shama.
to the people. You cannot do that. And no, in the history of India, a state, you have union territories getting converted to state, but never state being divided into 2 union territories. So, I mean, you come here and say things, the government who has just
That happened
bulldozed,
after Article 370.
why
Shama
should you,
Mohammed, where are you
whatever
looking?
article or not,
Please,
We're talking about India.
but
Please.
you who have
Please, one by one.
bulldozed
Ma'am,
away
please, one by
things,
one.
who did something called demonetization, who did you ask? So please,
Okay, I
first
think we're getting into too many issues
She
here.
has nothing to say on women's reservation.
I have to
Shama
speak
Mohammed,
on
She's
these
spent
things.
months
Shama Mohammed, can I
floundering.
just read?
So she's all over the place.
Shazia, help me please one
All
second.
over.
Shama
But
Mohammed,
she's all over the place.
my question is, a question was asked of you that in your version of the 2010 Women's Reservation Bill, there was no provision of OBC reservation.
Yeah,
then why demand now?
In our 2010, well, we didn't have caveats of delimitation as well as census. We wanted
Or
to pass
OBCs.
it immediately.
Or OBC
now, if she's
census.
going to talk, I'm going
So
to
do you feel
So
do you
OBC
feel Shama Mohammed
No,
that
I'm going to tell you about the
in the
OBC.
census exercise that is happening right now,
The
caste
OBC
census should also happen?
No, the OBC, of course, caste is very important. What I'm trying to say is the OBC at
Then
that
what
point
happened
of
about the
time.
Karnataka census during Siddaramaia's? Why wasn't it changed?
I'm not going to participate in a debate like
my
very
God.
quickly, if
So
you could just
very
conclude.
little, Shama, that's where I get into
OBCs, we
trouble.
wanted, at that point of time, yes,
what happened was we did not include. But now what we're saying is after 13 years, there's a huge change. What we are saying, like Rahul ji said, look at where they are. There is hardly any representation of them.
Okay.
Let me just tell you.
Till Rahul Gandhi knows, no wonder he's
let me tell you,
because the cutoff for OBC.
I know this will happen.
Let me finish. Out of 4 CMs.
No, ma'am, one more. Please.
Only small clarification.
You have to have a
there
cutoff
was
of 95 or 96.
One by one. One by one.
They did
Please.
not
Out
have
of
it in
the
the
4 OBC, out of the 4 CMs we have,
Yes.
3 are OBC. They are out of 10, just
They were
1.
Prime
So we
Minister.
can tell you.
Okay.
Prime Minister is
Aditi
OBC.
Fadnis.
Our Prime Minister is OBC.
Shazia,
Not
one
become
moment.
Prime
Let's now
Minister.
talk about the OBC narrative. We are coming back to the issue that we are discussing. Who, according to you, we've seen that Amit Shah mentioned on the floor of the House, he had, I don't know whether he felt the need to reply or he wanted to and be in control of the OBC narrative that we have 27 ministers who are from the OBC community. The Prime Minister himself is from the OBC community. And then
So
you
then
have
why
Rahul
we don't
Gandhi.
want to do the caste census?
And
I
Rahul
want to ask
Gandhi.
you that. Why not do the caste census?
Let me-
If the Prime Minister is OBC,
Let me ask the
he is
question.
OBC, everybody
Shama
is OBC,
Mohammed.
she's saying, then why
I have
does
heard
not
you.
the BJP have the guts
Let me ask
to
the
go
question.
ahead with the caste census? Answer that,
Okay,
Shah
okay.
Selvi.
No,
Shah,
why-
answer that.
Are
She
you-
doesn't
why-
answer
I'll
that.
listen to Sanket.
I'm hosting the show, please.
She's not
You may not
answering
like
that.
it, but I am the host.
You could not answer why
more.
Congress passed the bill
Shazia,
without an
let me
OBC
one
I
more.
reservation.
answered that. No, we want it now.
This is a question only for Miss Aditi Fadnis. Ma'am, who do you think is in control of this OBC narrative? The Congress and the opposition, the India bloc, or the government? Because now clearly this has gone into that domain.
Well, it's hard for me to say at this point. It's too soon. We don't know who's in control. I presume by control you mean who will it electorally benefit. So I think we have to wait for the election to be held and the campaign to be held for that to be decided. But certainly our society, the legislation that we pass must be a reflection of our society. The OBC community, Pichhade or whatever you call them, are people who are asking for their right as a set of castes to be counted, stood up and be counted. Whether you do it via the Women's Reservation Bill or you do it in some other way, the fact is that they are there and they have to be, their feelings have to be taken into account. Now, how this is going to be manipulated politically, at this point, it's very hard to say.
Okay. Aditi, I want to come to you. You see, Lok Niti CSDS survey found out, first of all, we do not know the total population of OBCs
That's the biggest point.
in this country, right? Which is why the opposition demands a caste census. Now, caste census has been a tricky issue for any government. Not just NDA, it has been a problem or a pain point in earlier governments also, where people don't really want to get into this data. I don't know why, right? Number one, that. Number two, the Lok Niti CSDS survey says that last time in 2019, 44% of the OBCs voted BJP, 15% for the UPA. In 2014, this was far less, but yet the BJP won. So do you feel that this is some sort of an attempt by the opposition, the India bloc, to break this, OBC vote consolidation in favor of the NDA or in favor of the BJP? Because the UPA remained consistent, 15% in 2014, 15% in 2019.
You know, earlier, Sanket, and we were discussing in 2010 when OBC factor was not there in the bill that was presented in the Rajya Sabha. At that time, regional political parties like Samajwadi Party and RJD had taken offense to it. In fact, there was a lot of demonstration,
That's why it didn't happen.
political leaders standing in front of the Gandhi statue, so on and so forth. So I think earlier the concept of, allegiance of the OBC community was very limited to regional political parties. And they felt that this is their community which will always vote for them. But things started changing when BJP completely shifted its narrative from being upper caste,
Yeah, the point you made.
Yeah, the point that I made earlier. So now I feel now that this big block of alliance has come into play, and these smaller regional political parties, not smaller, I take my word back, these regional political parties, they realize that the only way probably they themselves as independent political parties could get an upper hand is to get that vote bank back. And the only way probably is caste census, which we saw how every political party in the state of Bihar came down, they met the Prime Minister, they spoke to them about it, nothing really happened about it. But somewhere there definitely is an attempt, you spoke about, we don't know how many OBCs are there. The Mandal Commission had projected it at about some 53%. Then NSSO survey came out which said it's somewhere about 40 odd percent. So that figure nobody really knows. But the figures of 2014 and 2019 definitely must have given that little nervous pang to the opposition parties as well. जो बोलते थे हम regional political parties है, this is our community. And if you look at Uttar Pradesh as well in 2022, how the OBC community really voted. Now I'm not talking about Yadavs or the non-Yadavs, but BJP did know that even within the OBCs, the subcaste, how to target them by saying that, you know, within the OBCs also there are a privileged lot. So we will go to the lot which is underprivileged and which no political party really was eyeing or no political party was speaking about. So somewhere the BJP pulling that very core and very important vote bank from regional political parties has pushed the big block of alliance also to think this way, that it's time to get vote bank back.
My point is whether this is going to work or not. So you're appealing. Yes, ma'am. Yes,
just want
if you allow, she's been waiting for a while, and then I'll come to you. I promise.
So in the beginning, I told you about this OBC vote share, which was with the BJP. The fact is there are around 2,600 OBCs, categories of OBC, out of which only 15% of the OBCs have really benefited from the schemes in a big way. And the rest are really disturbed and all the benefits have not reached them. The reason why this OBC thing has come up is to target this particular chunk of vote share. That is the main reason here. Secondly, we have also heard that, you know, why Muslim representation is not there in the bill. Some parties have raised that question. But I am appalled by the fact that why they are only talking about Muslim. Is Muslim the only minority? If they are so concerned of minorities, they should be talking about everybody and not just the second majority. Muslims are the second majority today. So I think this is a narrative which they are just trying to get the political vote bank. They know that Prime Minister Modi has brought this bill at a very, very right time where the advantage will flow towards the BJP, because nobody can sit on the floor of the house and say that, you know, we don't support a women's bill just 6 months ahead of the general elections. So now they are just trying to see how they can get the vote bank of the Muslims as well as the OBCs who have not get it.
Okay. Is this also not the truth that the party or the opposition, which is now claiming that caste census should be done, were not able to release the caste census data of 2011. It never saw the light of the day. The effort was made, but it never saw the light of the day.
It didn't happen then, it should happen now.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, but what about the crores spent then? Why wasn't it tabled then?
Okay.
It's very easy to say, oh, we could not do it, but why did you say?
Jagmati Sangwan.
Come on.
The point is,
be a little honest and objective.
On the ground, a lot being said for the OBC community, the OBC women, right? And what their condition is right now. Do you feel that this talk at least will get some amount of attention drawn towards the plight of women from the OBC community?
Definitely. They also need some type of protection and some type of measures to come forward. But at the same time, there are layers and layers within the backwards also. They are landowning communities also, there are, and at the same time there are many of them artisans. But at the same time, at this point of time, I am much more interested on debating how the women will respond to this what has been done in the parliament in the name of 33% reservation.
What's your reading?
Our reading is since 27 years, at least every year we have been holding a rally on the Jantar Mantar, past 33%, past 33%. And there are huge lot of women who have been participating in these rallies. And now when we are explaining them कि क्या हुआ reservation के बारे में, तो उनको इतना गुस्सा है नीचे And on 5th of October, we are holding a rally on Jantar Mantar, and women will come over there, and they will definitely take some decision to how to go about with this arrangement of 33% reservation. So let Shazia, Ilmi and other friends be clear, it has not really gone well with the women of this country, and उनको ऐसे बेवकूफ बहुत बना लिया. अब ऐसा वो मुकाम जा चुका है, वो जानती हैं कि कौन किस मीटर में बात कर रहा है, और ये जो जिस मीटर में बात की गई है
मोदी जी की मुखालफत में और इस घबराहट में कि मोदी जी ने ये भी बाजी मार ली है. आप लोग कुछ भी एक नाटक करें, कुछ भी पॉलिटिक्स करें, किसी को सबको समझ में आ रहा है कि सारी चालाकियां आपकी
क्या बाजी मार ली.
ये औरतों के लिए जो उनका
क्या बाजी है, इसमें बाजी क्या है यार. शादिया
रिजर्वेशन बिल,
क्या बाजी है,
रिजर्वेशन बिल, नारी शक्ति, नारी शक्ति बंधन अधिनियम से बनकर कानून. ये क्या है, समझ में आया आपको? बिल्कुल करेंगे, बार बार करेंगे, बंधन करेंगे, अभिनंदन करेंगे, बार बार करेंगे, बार बार करेंगे. आप पॉलिटिक्स करती रहिए मैडम, कुछ नहीं होने वाला है. देश की औरतें समझ गई हैं, आपको समझ गई हैं, आप जैसे लोगों को, आप जैसे अगर आप ऐसे बोलोगे
kind of a situation. I am just scared now that I heard this. I feel are we moving towards a new Shine Bagh kind of a situation?
Yeah, that's a planning.
Get the women ahead and then sit there for ages and oppose anything and everything without understanding.
I think why do you get a Muslim? Any woman is entitled to protest. Anyone can protest.
Right to protest at the right spot is the right thing.
Okay.
This is not.
I think we're digressing. Let me quickly come back. Last 3 minutes of the show.
चेहरा देखा जाके वहाँ पे.
One moment. Miss Sangwan. Shama Mohammed. Only and only Shama Mohammed, please. Sorry.
पहले आम आदमी पार्टी में बेवकूफ बना दिया.
I have to say this. Mrs. Babe, the most difficult big fight to host for me.
Wait. Please,
The most big fight.
Calm down.
This is not characteristic of NDTV to shout so much. I request everybody to calm down.
I have 2 points. One is that when Congress party says something, they do it. That is what we did with Panchayati Raj. We got it done immediately. And number 2, in UP you saw that during the elections we gave 40% reservation for women. We promised that and we gave the tickets.
1 month later.
So we have.
And in Karnataka, 5%
whenever we said something, state to state we change, but when we say something, we do it.
Are you hoping that this OBC point that you're making, caste census, right? You seem to be in consensus on the caste census in the India bloc. This is going to help you reap some political dividends for a vote bank which has shifted towards the NDA and the BJP.
We are not talking that. We want, because we are seeing them suffer, the OBCs. During this last 30, look at the condition of OBCs in Madhya Pradesh. I mean, what is happening to them? Look at the condition of them in UP and Gujarat. I mean, have you seen them? They get peed on, they get slapped, they get, they are killed. You remember the girl was, where they were, the girl who got her, she
urinated.
Yes. Yeah, so she got.
By the way, all sorts of atrocities against Dalits. All sorts of atrocities against Dalits are happening across India, even in Rajasthan. So my point is, this is a very wrong way of looking at what is happening.
Should not be compared with law enacting situation. What happens is there is a difference between the two.
Or Congress worker or opposition person who has written to the Prime Minister asking for 33% reservation for OBC in the 33% for women. It was Uma Bharti, former Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh. So I think maybe that should make a point. That even in the BJP there are OBC.
But do you feel that eventually something like this will happen or should happen? Because again, this...
I don't know about should.
A fear is that this will throw open a Pandora's box. Then there'll be other people who will demand reservation.
Sanket, politics and life is about Pandora's boxes. Our society is a Pandora's box.
Sanket, today the question is, why is the Bharatiya Janata Party scared of a caste census? That is the question of the day.
Why can't they come out and say,
I'm broad-basing this. Why are all governments scared of caste census? Why was UPA scared of caste census?
If they have government in Karnataka, Siddharamaia's government actually had a caste census, and the report of which has nobody seen the light of the day.
We have seen
you have not. You ran away. Nothing like that. You know little. You know very little. Sama, you know very little.
You don't know guarantees.
You don't know much.
We have done it.
You know, my biggest worry right now is who do I give the last word to?
The bigger fool you sound like, the more you talk.
You take the last word. We give it to you.
Do you want to finish this off?
I just want to say, Sanket, that every political party we are all women panelists sitting here, and even women are undermining the intellect of how intelligent the Indian voter is today. You can't sway them with SOPs. So many political parties try to do that, but they did not win elections. Right now, by making it an OBC debate, whether making it about backward community, making it about how downtrodden women are, I think if we don't instill that faith in our voters, nobody can, and not me, the political party should be.
What is most important, and being the minority on this discussion, I must say that this has happened late. There is still about a 5-year long wait. And Adi Abadi Pura Hak. If this is about the 50% of the population, then 33% doesn't cut it. It doesn't work that way. This is an idea whose time should have come long ago, but has finally come and should be implemented. Thank you so much. I must say it was a very difficult big fight to host, but completely enjoyable, and learnt a lot from all of you all. Thank you very much. With that, we come to the end of the big fight, but news continues on the other side.